In the last two videos, we've seen how you can explore the values of expressions and variables by hovering over different elements of code while you're working in break mode, and also by using the immediate window. In this video, we'll look at a tool which is slightly more convenient and dynamic than these two methods, the watch window. Let's go back into our debugging practice file. And just open up our module. And let's work with the same sub-procedure that we saw before. Let's say that we want to monitor the following expressions and values. First of all, we want to keep tabs on the value of I. Secondly, we want to know the number of tables still remaining using thisDocument.tables.count. Thirdly, we want to know whether I is greater than thisDocument.tables.count, which will indicate to us whether it's possible to delete the table whose index is the current value of I. And finally, let's say we want to display the first paragraph within the table that's about to be deleted, because of course that's the name of the month. We can add all four of these items as watches in the watch window. To do this, we display the watch window like all the other floating panels. It's under the View menu. And the first technique we can use is drag and drop. So if we want to monitor I, we can simply highlight it and drag it into the watches window. You can also use this technique simply to save yourself some typing. So we want thisDocument.tables.count. We've got part of that code here, so we can drag that into the watches window and then simply edit the watch by right-clicking on it and choosing Edit Watch. And of course, that option is also available under the Debug menu. So here we just go and complete our statement. So we just add in .count. And we can use this same technique again for the third thing that we wanted. So let's just drag that back in and edit the watch. So this time we wanted to test whether I is greater than thisDocument.tables.count. And we can use this same technique again for the fourth thing that we were after, which is the first paragraph of the table that's about to be deleted. So this time we would highlight all the way up to here and just drag that in, then edit it. So we want thisDocument.tables I.range.paragraphs1, i.e. the first paragraph, and then to pick up the actual text, we need .range.text. And we can just make this column a bit wider so we can see the whole statement. So now we're ready to use all of these, and all we've got to do basically is, as we step through, we just constantly monitor them. So they are dynamic. As soon as we start to run the code or step through the code, then they'll come to life and display the current value as the program runs. So F8, and 3 out of the 4 have come to life. Obviously this one's a bit premature. We haven't got into the for loop yet, so I hasn't been set to 1. Let's make that a bit wider. So this could read, the requested member of the collection does not yet exist, because of course it will do shortly. So basically we keep pressing F8, and as soon as we get into the loop, I becomes 1. And as you can see, we have January picked up as being the first paragraph in the table. It's picked up the end of cell marker as well, but that's not a big deal. It helps us to identify which table is currently being deleted. And then we just keep stepping through. And of course, when we get to this point, as soon as I becomes 7 and this document.tables.count has fallen to 6, the requested member of the collection does not exist. So if we execute this line, we know that we're going to get the error. So although we do know what the problem is, you can see how we can highlight the problem and what's causing the error by using the watch window and just keeping tabs on what's going on by displaying the values of these key expressions and variables. So I'm just going to come out of break mode, go back to Word, and just use the global undo to get rid of everything we've done using our macro. So what we've created there are basically called watch expressions. And this is the default type of watch. So when you create a watch, it's called a watch expression, and you simply monitor its current value as you step through your code. However, there are other types of watches. So let's take an example of one of those. Let's take this watch and just edit it. And you'll see here we've got in the watch type section 2 other types of watches. Break when value is true and break when value changes. So in this case, rather than stepping through the code, we could have this as a break when value is true watch. So as soon as the value of I is greater than the number of tables remaining, this watch expression will become true and we'll go into break mode. So we don't need to step through, we simply run the macro as normal. And then at the point where this statement becomes true, that's when we go into break mode. So we can see we got to that critical point where we've got 6 tables left and I has reached 7, so we are attempting to delete the non-existent table 7. Let's just reset and again undo everything. And just edit the type once more. Break when value changes, in this particular case, will give us the same result. Because of course, up until that point, this statement will be true. And when it reaches that critical point, it then changes to false. So at that point, we'll go into break mode. So the same thing basically will happen. In actual fact, what's happened here is it's changed from true to false because obviously we've been using it previously and its previous value was true. So it's now changed to false. So we've gone into break mode at this point. If we run again, then of course the next change occurs at that critical point. So again, we go back into break mode. So both of these alternatives are very useful techniques where you don't so much want to monitor expressions, you simply want to jump to those critical points in the code where the value of those expressions or those variables suddenly change. By default, the watch window is used to create watch expressions, to dynamically monitor the values of variables and expressions as you step through your code. In addition, the alternative watch types, break when value is true and break when value changes, can be used to create conditional breakpoints.